eat this roll, giving all praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Kakwadash. And this is from Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. I'm going to read the first, second, and third verses. And I may jump down most likely to the 18th verse. Let's see what happens. It says, Ezekiel 3 verse 1, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel. Very simple, basic scripture that High Priest Ariel would always go into. You know, he would go, these breakdowns that we go into, these, as the Christian scholars refer to as hermeneutics and exegesis, which basically means to break things down. We say break down, but anyway, High Priest Ariel would go into Revelation over and over and over and over again. I used to say, why does we went through that Revelation 11 2 weeks ago. And there was a reason behind that, is so that you would not forget it. He would go into all the breakdowns. He would say, you know, like 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, the Psalms, books like that. Is basically, you don't need anybody to break down those books. They're self-explanatory. There's no hidden secret message in those books, but sometimes they are hidden secret messages in some of those precepts in the books that I mentioned. High Priest Ariel would go into the book of Genesis, and he said, you have to understand, and it has to be broken down to you. Genesis 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as well. But then after that, you got the story of Noah. You got what's called the Table of Nations in Genesis, the 10th chapter. Pretty much, let's say the 6th chapter, you have to, it's basically like going into Revelation or the book of Daniel or Ezekiel or any of the breakdowns. The majority of the books of the prophets are prophetic books. You need to have an understanding, and you get the answers with other precepts. It says, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel. Now, when you look up the word eat, it gives you a bunch of definitions. You can go do it yourself. And one of the definitions, eat as a man would eat. In other words, eat food. When you eat food, what do you get from the food? You get a taste. You get a taste from the food. You know, you eat things that taste good, or things that might not necessarily taste good. You put flavoring to it to make it taste good. Like I'll do juices and green smoothies, and the thing that makes it taste good is the honey. And which the scriptures is, that's a whole another subject, honey. Matter of fact, let me go to that. I'm going to switch gears. And you that are veterans in this thing, you know, you know this. You know, you that are out there on the highways and the byways non-stop. See, we're not the ones that remind you got to go out. You know you got to go out. You know you got to go out. You have an unction and you know all things. So unction is an anointing. You've been anointed. So if we got to call a guy up, look, brother, you ain't been out there in a couple of weeks, what's going on? You come with some lame excuse. Oh, I went to Las Vegas with my girl. You know, a couple of weeks go by, you're not out there. Oh, my cousin getting married, I had to go. That guy's not a man of the Lord. Because that man's not consistent. So if we encounter somebody like that, you got to think, you got to mark that man, whether he's truly of the Lord. Or a guy that pops up, he learned from us, which we learned from our teachers, and we found out, you know, there's certain things that our teachers didn't fully cover. The Most High gave us more things, opened up our eyes even more. And we go and we teach, and the men are gathered. A lot of these brothers that you see in GMS, there's so many GMS camps out there. We never met these guys. And some of them that we did meet, that came to New York. As a matter of fact, we went out there to Texas a couple of times. Well, I went out one time, and then other men in GMS New York had went out there a couple of times. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I was going into honey. I just want to open up another tab here. Oop, wrong one. And the ones of you that remain and you do this work, automatic, we don't got to remind you to go out, because the Spirit jumped on you to do this. See, the orders are coming from the spiritual realm. Like I said in the beginning, I use examples of Patak. Patak, he was like the former head of Chicago, and he popped up, oh, you guys went off on this, and I'm not budging. So my response was, okay, if you're not budging, then you can't be around us. And I guess he realized that, oh, they're kicking me out. Let me try to get back in. And he was trying to get back in like a serpent. And he said, I can't deal with the GMS main camp because they ain't hearing it. So let me deal with Dallas, GMS Dallas, which at that time, GMS Dallas, they were young in the spirit, extremely young in the spirit. So I remember one day I did a live a show, and I burst out and cursed out Dallas. I said, you GMS Dallas, you motherfucker. You know, I got pissed off, and it shook up everybody. And I said, I remember saying, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said this. I said, Patak, you ain't coming. You out. You ain't coming in. You ain't getting back in. You out, man. You out. And basically, what he did was like any other Israelite clown does. He talked shit about us until he ran out of gas. And there was a lot of guys that fell off because those guys were not a part of this calling. The scripture said, many are called, but they were part of the calling, but they were never a part of the chosen elect. Scripture say many are called, but few are chosen. Then you had other guys that fall off, did the same thing, talk shit, became scoffers, and then we said, well, let's see how long it takes before he runs out of gas. And sure enough, he doesn't do it anymore. Like Patak, we haven't heard from him. Now, he might, the hell, he might pop up because he saw this video and might come back out the woodwork and talk his shit, but he's gone, he's done, he's not of the elect. Another person, Nazariah, he popped up. It was at a council. It was who was it? Anyway, we were told that Nazariah, and he came out a year before that. He came out to New York. Nazariah came to the house. He was at the Passover, and he had that humble look in his eyes. And then the next year, I believe it was, at the Passover, he was like, Dan is one of the tribes, and you got to put the tribe, whatever the whole case is. And then from there, we said, well, look, he's not in the camp until he gets in his right mind. And what happened was, it took a certain amount of time where he was basically out of there, but the door was still open, and he basically broke off. He was trying to get back in. And Yashawan was another brother. If Yashawan's listening, I always liked that brother. Yashawan out of Chicago. He was a cool brother. When I met him, cool brother. But we don't know where he's at, where he is. So even if you're cool with certain dudes, that doesn't mean they're part of the elect, because if they're part of the elect and for some reason they break off, they're going to keep teaching his word and keep teaching it the way it's supposed to be taught. So what happened with Nazariah, the scriptures speak about being a novice, at least he come under the condemnation of the devil. And that's what happened, because he said, pretty much he said everything that we taught. Look, Babylon is not America, it's Vatican City. This doesn't mean that. You're going off on that and debate me. And we said, well, we'll look and see what happens. And sure enough, he was strong for about a year, him and his crew, and then they disappeared for about a year and change, and they just popped up recently. They went out, I think they did two. I think they did went outside on the streets where they normally spoke at, and then I think they did another one. Maybe they did a third, but then they stopped again because they out of gas. That goes back to, see, once you understand these scriptures come to life, and that goes back to Matthew, the 25th chapter, the 10 virgins, 5 are wise and 5 are foolish. The 5 are foolish had no lamps. So his light went out. Why his light went out? Because he had no oil in his lamp. So where did I say I was going to go? Oh. I was looking for the word honey. Okay, Proverbs 24 verse 13. My son, eat thou honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb, which is sweet to the taste, to thy taste. So that's real honey. So the scriptures is referred to as honey. Proverbs 25 verse 16. Hast thou found honey? Eat. Now this is referring to the word, the truth. Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomited. So what did these guys do that fell off ultimately? They took in the honey and they took too much to themselves and they vomited it back up. Proverbs 25, verse 27. It is not good to eat much honey. So for men to search their own glory is not glory. And that's what these guys did. They were searching their own glory. They were trying to be glorified. I can teach the word better than these people can teach the word. I'm better than my teachers. They'll use that scripture too. Let me read that again. Proverbs 25, verse 27. It is not good to eat much honey. Because now I quoted being a novice. When you're new in this thing, you gotta come into this truth, little by little and build up until you're built up in the spirit. You in this thing for a year, a couple of years, 3, even 4 years. And you say, I know more than my teachers. As David said, I became wiser than my teachers, so they got to come up under me. Well, that's when the devil comes in. Proverbs 25, verse 27 again. It is not good to eat much honey. So for men to search their own glory is not good. It's not glory. I'm sorry, it's not glory. Like you got these guys, wow. I'm sorry. Bow, believers of the way. You got the young guy talking his talk, and the Most High is clearly not dealing with him. And then when we want to correct that man, that them demons, sparked up in that man. He's gone, man. He's gone. He said, well, I checked. I stayed up all night dealing with the mark of the beast, and I couldn't. You couldn't find it because the Most High didn't give it to you. He didn't open up your eyes. He only gave you so much. So the Lord is not dealing with you. Then you came back and said that I had a dream that the destruction was going to come in the year 2000. That's a damn lie. I never had no dream. That was part of the doctrine. Just like Cornelius was an Edomite as part of the doctrine until we went back over it and said, nope, High Priest Ariel went off on that. High Priest Ariel went off on this. Because the Most High didn't give it to no one man. Now I'm going to jump all the way to Revelation. And that's also in Ezekiel. As a matter of fact, give me a second. The great prophets in the past. And that was the spirit, the great prophets in the past are here now, a reincarnation. Let me see. Blue letter again. Get the word honey. Okay, Ezekiel Ezekiel 3 verse 3, it says, and he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat and fill thy bowels. Then did I eat it and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. So when you come into this truth, you're happy about it. You know, you start telling everybody, and then when you digest it, it becomes bitter in your belly, and that's when guys fall off. The winter comes in, and you don't want to go out, or you got to spend more time with your woman, or whatever the case may be. So slowly you fall out of this thing. And there were certain guys that just left, that didn't, they wasn't coming out consistently, and they might have legitimate excuses, but you can see in the spirit that the spirit is out of that person. And then one day they just don't show up. They don't call, they don't show up. And you already know, you don't have to call to find out what's going on, because you already know the spirit done left out of that man. So now let me go here to, let me come back. Oh, like Lahab, he's back out there, but he doesn't have the gospel. So if he doesn't repent, the Most High is going to destroy him. He's teaching that Edomites and other nations can make it. Well, that's clearly not the scriptures. What does it say in Ezekiel 3? Eat this roll and go and teach the house of Israel. Didn't say the house of Israel and anybody that you deem of another nation that may see it, because they could be. No, that's not. So GOCC is off. Lahab, former high priest Lahab, is off. It says in Revelation 10, verse 9 and 10, and I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book which represents the scriptures. In the book of Ezekiel is called the roll, which is a book, the book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And then in the 10th verse, he says he ate it, and it was sweet in his mouth, and it became bitter in his belly. When you first come into this, you're excited about being a part of this. But then your so-called boss might see you out there and fire you. You know why you got fired. You know? Or your woman might leave you because you don't spend as much time. You don't give her them Saturdays like you used to. So then you come to the fact that, yeah, because of me coming into this truth, my life has changed, and you don't want to do this no more. You want your woman back. That was your high school sweetheart. Love was so brand new. Inside joke. Anyway, let me see something. Okay, I want to look up the word bitter. Pekraino, I already know that word. Pekraino. It's a Greek word for bitter. It says to make bitter, to produce a bitter taste in the stomach when you digest it. To embitter, exasperate. Let me look up that word, exasperate. I didn't put any precepts pretty much together. I'm just going in the spirit. Exasperate, irritate, and frustrate someone intensely. This futile process exasperates prison officials. That's an example. It says, what does it mean to exasperate someone? To make someone very angry or annoyed. Because you run into problem when you come into this truth. It goes on to say, for the word bitter, pikrino, render angry, indignant, to be embittered, irritated, to be irate, to visit with bitterness, to grieve, deal bitterly with. There comes a time when you come into this truth, it's fun. Then it comes to times where it's not fun. So now let me come back over here. Ezekiel 3 verse 1, moreover he said unto me, son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, which is the scriptures, and when you eat it, you have to eat it all. You know, when you were a kid, your mom would say, eat all them damn string beans, or eat all that damn spinach. And you don't want to eat it because it doesn't taste good. And you get mad. You know, you curse your mother out in your mind. You be cursing, you motherfucker. And go, but you wouldn't say it out loud because you get your ass beat. It says, and go speak unto the house of Israel. This is very simple. This is very simple. Eat this roll and go and teach the house of Israel. And really, how do you eat this roll? Somebody has to feed you. That's in Jeremiah 3, verse 15. I'm not going to go to it. You can read it. And Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, you got to read that whole chapter. It said that you would be fed, meaning you would have teachers that are men. Romans 10, verse 13 on down, speaks about the Most High set up men, prophets, to teach you. And part of that teaching is the name, because it tells you that the name in Romans 10. So you got to know the name. That's why we get on the IUIC about the name. And some of those individuals that leave IUIC, they go right, they immediately say that, call on the name. Like Shakya. So it says, moreover, he said unto me, son of man, eat that thou findest. And this answers the question as to why, anybody that makes this statement or make this comment, they knew in the truth. They're not veterans in this truth. Why can't all of the camps just come together? You already know. You click on that man's page or that woman's page, there's nothing on there. They might probably had that page up since 2015 with nothing on it, maybe music videos. That person don't understand. Because you have, the Most High have dealt with certain men and other men he haven't dealt with. In Ephesians, it says that we, well, it's also in Ephesians 4, for the perfecting of the saints, and also in 1 Corinthians 1, verse 10, that ye all speak the same thing. Amos 3, how can two walk together go together except they be agreed? So that's why we say that these unity camps are bullshit, because the unity different camps because they got different doctrines. It said, moreover, he said unto me, son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak to the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that role. So you had to teach a teacher this truth. Then once you learn it, then you become a teacher. The parable in Luke 19, I believe it's in Luke 19, where it speaks about a talent, putting a talent and wrapping it in a napkin and burying it. You got some guys that know this truth but don't teach this truth, man. In Hebrews, the 12th chapter, it speaks about a great cloud of witnesses. And Paul said in 1 Corinthians, what is that, 4 verse 9 or 9 verse 4, I think it's 4 verse 9, it said we have become a spectacle unto men and angels. So part of this truth is you gotta be seen. You gotta be seen. And all the prophets of the past, they had to go direct, because they didn't have YouTube back there. They didn't have the web. They had to actually go amongst Israel and tell them. And Israel didn't want to hear it. Ezekiel 3 verse 3. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat. Now when you eat it, it's sweet, and when it's digested, it's bitter. So you have to deal with the sweet and the bitter. And fill thy bowels with this roll. In other words, you have to deal with the whole roll. The scriptures speak about adding to the word and taking away from the word. In Proverbs 30 and Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. You can start from the very top in Revelation, was that 22, 18, and 19. So part of the bitterness is when we said, Brother Polite came down and he asked a question about the rape thing, and we say, yep, you can rape. That's in the law, and who got messed up by it? These other Israelites, because they didn't eat the whole roll. Here it is. That was in 2013. Here it is, 2021. We're talking about almost 10 years, and you still got Israelite groups coming against GMS for teaching that. Well, what you did was you didn't eat the whole roll. So guess what? You are not one of the chosen elect of the Most High. You just a cat that knows you are Israel. You got a lot of these guys, when they find out that they're Israelites, they automatically assume that they're prophets. That's a topic right there. So they'll go out, they'll get a sign, they'll get the fringes, and the Lord ain't dealing with them, like the guy from Baal. You got the ISUPK talking about John the Baptist. He fell out the truth. Hey, this thing is coming down to the wire. And we know we have the truth, man. That's why you think we constantly searching, going into the Hebrew. And you can't understand the scriptures. Sometimes you have to go into the Hebrew. The Apocrypha speaks about that. To get the full understanding of the words of this book, sometimes you have to go into the Hebrew or into the Greek. Ezekiel 3 verse 3, and he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat and fill thy bowels, meaning completely digested, even the stuff that you may not like, because that's the bitter part. Oh, no, I'm not dealing with that. You can rape now because I got a daughter. You ain't gonna rape my daughter. I'll bust a cap in your ass. Well, the Lord says if a man takes your daughter by force and has relations with her, that he's got to give you, the father, 50 shekels of silver and take that woman in and not put her away all thy life, for the rest of thy life. So you would have to think, well, if I do this, I'm going to have to deal with this woman. But I got to still deal with her. So that didn't happen every day, but it happened at certain times. It said, fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as sweet as honey for sweetness. But when you go to Revelation, the 10th chapter, it became bitter after it was digested. Abraham was tested with his son Isaac, which is Yahushai. He told his beloved son from Sarah, that was his beloved son. He loved his son more than Ishmael, because he had that son with Sarah, his wife. At an old age, they were both up in age. And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai told him, you're going to sacrifice your son. What did Abraham do? He went ahead and did it. Now, if the Spirit come to any of you right now, you got a son that you love, you just love your son, your oldest son, or whatever the case may be, and the Spirit comes to you in a dream 3 times, an angel come before you, look, you got to sacrifice you got to take your kid somewhere, kill it. You man, fuck this, man. I'm out of here. Because you lack faith. Now, that was a test for Abraham, man. There's certain words that will, in the scriptures, that will offend you, like the rape thing is going to offend you. And there's certain things that you can't see, like the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is the microchip. The mark of the beast is the microchip technology, whether it be in the nanobots in the thing, or whether it be a chip. And now you got the microchip president. I did a video on that called the microchip, or the mark of the beast president, I think I called it, which is Biden, because he made a statement to Justice Roberts in his confirmation hearing that he's going to rule on that, whether people will receive chips in them, implanted in them. So the ones of you Israelites that can't see it, you don't have the whole truth. That's why we make the statement GMS has 100% truth. Now you got to read Jeremiah, the 36th chapter, because it goes into the roll and how the roll is a book. Jeremiah, well, it says Psalms. Let me go to Psalm 40, verse 7. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me. That's talking about Yahushai, which the book is what? The Comforter, not no man. You had the last guy that said he was the Comforter, the Most High took him out. Whether he actually dropped dead or he's living in Dubai with Michael Jackson. And Epstein, they in Dubai hanging out, or he's in the spiritual realm. Well, let's say he's actually in the spiritual realm. The Most High took him out. The issues of death belongs to who? The Most High. Because this man wasn't doing the will of the Most High, and he blasphemed the Most High by saying that he's the Comforter, which is Yahushai. So let me read a few precepts in Jeremiah 36, verse 2. You got to read this whole chapter. I'm just going to jump around. It says, Jeremiah 36, verse 2, take thee a roll, which is the book of a book. So we know that the roll in Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter, is a book. And what does that book represent? The whole book. Because it was spoken about, the next time it was spoken about eating the book is in Revelation. Why? Because the book is finished. The book of Revelation is the last book. So when John ate the book, he ate Genesis to Revelation and the Apocrypha. It said, take thee a roll of a book and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto thee against Israel and against Yahweh and against all the nations. Jeremiah 1 and 4. from the day I spake unto thee from the days of Josiah. Josiah in the Hebrew, I think, is Yaasha, even unto this day. Even unto this day. What's today's date? Today is so-called January 30th, 2021, year of hastening of the coming of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Let's go to the 4th verse. Then Jeremiah called Baruch, and Baruch was the scribe for Jeremiah, or the understudy for Jeremiah, the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah, because Jeremiah, he received visions. And so he didn't write the visions down. It was Baruch that wrote those visions down. The book of Jeremiah was written by Baruch, which was the words of Jeremiah. All the words of Yahweh, meaning all the words that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai gave to Jeremiah, which he had spoken unto him upon the roll of a book. Sixth verse. Therefore go thou and read in the roll. And that's what we're to do. When we read it, we're digesting it, we're understanding it, which thou hast written from my mouth, the words of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because Yahushai was there. The ears of the people in Yahweh's house upon the fasting day, and also thou shalt read them in the ears of all Yahweh that come out of their cities. So like years ago, we was on 34th Street, you had people that would come from different cities to come down to 34th Street to listen. Anyway, I'm going to say shalom.